What's going on, baseball fans? How are we doing? So opening day is right around the corner, and I am quite the happy lad. So in this video, I'm going to go over my preseason rankings on Tier Maker. Let's get to it. Let's start off with the Arizona Diamondbacks. Not a good season last year, only 52 wins, but I don't think they're going to be that bad this year. They did run into some bad luck last year. They had some injuries and whatnot. So I think the Diamondbacks, they're going to be better this coming year. I do like some of the guys in their lineup. I love Ketel Marte, just got him locked up to an extension. I love Dalton Varsho. This is an underrated player in my opinion. He's got some pretty decent projections for this coming year. 21 home runs, a 450 slugging. That's pretty good. I do like Pavin Smith. He had a decent rookie season last year. I'm looking to see those numbers get even better. And I'm excited for Seth Beer. This is a guy that's been blocked with Christian Walker at first base, but we now have the universal DH, so Seth Beer is going to get a chance. He's had some pretty decent numbers in the minor leagues. Geraldo Perdomo, 22-year-old shortstop. I'm looking to see what he can do. He did pretty decent in the minor leagues. For the pitching, Madison Bumgarner, I don't know, whatever. Merrill Kelly, Zach Davies, they'll give you some starts. They'll give you some innings. With Bumgarner, I don't really know what you're going to get out of him. He got the ERA in the 5th down into the 4s last year, so maybe he's on the right track. So maybe we see an even better season out of Bumgarner this year. But the guy I'm looking out for is Zach Gallen. This is a guy, he has a lot of potential. Zach Gallen last year, he did miss some starts, only had 23 starts last year. The FIP was okay at 4.25, but this is a guy in his first 3 years has over 10 strikeouts per 9, right around 3 to 4 walks per 9, doesn't give up a lot of home runs. So looking to see what he can do. This is a guy, I like the mix of pitches that he has. So I'm looking to see if he can take a step forward this year. We got some decent guys in the bullpen, Melanson and Kennedy. We got some guys that maybe can do something in this bullpen. And then I'm looking out for someone like Alek Thomas. He had himself a good season last year. Taking a look at his numbers in 2021, he hit 313 with a 394 on base, a 559 slugging. So looking out for Alek Thomas this year. They have a couple other guys, maybe that can get up there. Ryan Nelson, maybe someone like Bryce Jarvis. We already got Geraldo Perdomo looking like he's going to be starting short. So the Diamondbacks, they have a good farm system, so maybe we can see some of these young players. But I think with just how bad they did last year, I think you have to start off at an F. I mean, I definitely think they could improve this year, but for now, I got to go F. On to the World Series champions, Atlanta Braves. This Braves team, they're looking really good this year, coming off of a World Series championship, and I think they're really set up for another run. Losing Freddie Freeman, I understand that's a bit of a bummer, but you added Matt Olson. I mean, that's the best possible replacement that you could have had for Freddie Freeman, and to be honest, it could even be a better replacement. Cheaper, younger, he's going to give you a good amount of power. That was a great addition for the Braves. And taking a look also just at these other guys. I mean, Albies is going to give you a lot of power. Riley had a good season last year. Ozuna, eventually he will move into that designated hitter spot when Acuna comes back. And Ozuna did so good in the DH spot a couple of years ago. My goodness, Marcell Ozuna. I know he had, his troubles last year, but, put him back into the DH spot eventually. I think he ends up having a pretty good season. Dansby Swanson playing a solid shortstop last year. This is a good-looking lineup. You got some guys on the bench. I actually really like the addition of Manny Pena. Going to give you some good defense off the bench as well. Really like what they got going on here. Pitching looks fantastic. Max Fried, he's solid. Charlie Morton had the injury in the postseason or in the World Series, but he's looking like he's good to go for this year. He was really good last year. And you got some young guys like Kyle Wright, Ian Anderson, Husker Noah, Tucker Davidson. Really like the pitching depth. And don't forget about Mike Soroka as well. Bullpen, they made some good additions in the offseason. Kenley Jansen, Colin McHugh. They already had the big three lefties with Will Smith, Madsick, and Minter. Also added Thornburg. That's a high upside kind of a move. Got some good prospects down here. Spencer Strider. Drew Waters took a bit of a step back last year, but maybe he can get his footing for this year. Kyle Muller. I mean, come on. There's a lot of prospects. This Braves team, I mean, I know, yes, they are the team to beat because they are coming off of a World Series championship, but even if they didn't win the championship last year, this is easily one of the teams to beat this year. They got a great offense, great, solid, young starting pitching, a bullpen that is just fantastic, depth in the organization. This Atlanta team, I really think we haven't had a repeat champion for the first time in since 2000 with the Yankees. This could be the team to finally do it. They are set up in a lot of good ways. I don't know. Will they be able to do it? No team has been able to do it since the Yankees, but I think this team, I know we said the Dodgers, they had a good shot last year after winning in 2020, but man, this Braves team, they got a really good shot. You got to go S tier here for the Braves. On to the Baltimore Orioles, and we were talking about the Diamondbacks earlier. The Orioles also only won 52 games last year. There's not a whole lot going on, but you got some young players here, and maybe some guys that could be candidates at the trade deadline to maybe bring in some young players, some more prospects, maybe some cost-controlled kind of guys to help you out maybe in the next few years or so. I'm wondering if Trey Mancini could be a guy that could be some trade bait at the deadline, maybe someone like Anthony Santander as well. Cedric Mullins, his name has been popping up in rumors. Austin Hayes as well. But I do like a lot, or a few things at least, about this team. I love Cedric Mullins. I think Trey Mancini is really solid, but I don't know. Are they going to be working into their plans? I could see Cedric Mullins definitely staying, but I could definitely see some guys, maybe like Santander and Mancini, maybe on the move. We'll have to wait and see. Pitching, there's John Means. They pushed the walls back a little bit. John Means, I wonder, bit of a fly ball kind of a guy. I wonder if that ends up helping him out a little bit. Pitching is just really thin. Bullpen's really thin. You got a few guys in there, but I'm looking out for Adley Rutschman, Grayson Rodriguez. These guys are going to be awesome. Also, someone like DL Hall. Look out for him. I think he's a bit of an underrated prospect. We got some other guys here like Kyle Stowers. I'm looking to see what Heston Kjerstad can do in the minor leagues this year. Didn't really do really anything at all last year. He didn't play at all last year. So we'll have to wait and see. But with the Orioles, I think you just have to go F right now. They're in rebuild mode, So, but I am excited about some of their players. Orioles right now at an F. I'm going to be honest here. I'm a little torn on where to put my Red Sox on this list. Listen, I like a lot about my Red Sox this year. The offense looks fantastic. You added Trevor Story. That's only going to help this lineup. They traded Hunter Renfroe, brought in Jackie Bradley Jr. to help improve the defense, and then you add a right-handed bat in Trevor Story, who can also play some great defense out there. Story's bat with the monster is going to be phenomenal. This lineup is great. It's going to be one of the better lineups in the game. With the pitching, though, I'm a little worried about this pitching. Nathan Eovaldi, I'm wondering what's he going to do? He's had some injuries in the past. He hasn't been the most durable in his career. Last year, had a really good season, had over 180 innings. Can he keep that going? We're going to have to wait and see. Nick Pivetta looked really good in the first half last year. Second half, not so much. Looked good in the postseason. Tanner Houck, what kind of a step forward is he going to take this year? I definitely think he can, but I'm looking to see what he can do. Michael Wacha, and Rich Hill, bringing these guys in from free agency. There's also James Paxton. Those guys are kind of question marks to me, but I do trust Chaim Bloom to where he kind of finds these guys where they're not very expensive, but, they can get a lot out of them. Rich Hill, though, 42 years old. How's he going to be durability-wise? Wacha, I feel like, I don't know. I think Wacha is going to be kind of just a guy there. He's going to make some starts. He'll come out of the bullpen here and there. We'll have to wait and see what ends up happening. But the starting pitching is a bit of a question mark. Chris Sale, who knows how long he's going to be out, maybe at least a couple of months. So, I don't know. Starting pitching is a bit of a question mark to me. So, the fact that Nick Pivetta is the number 2, I don't feel so great about that. I don't know. Starting pitching is a question mark. Bullpen is a bit of a question mark as well. Matt Barnes, really good in the first half, horrible in the second half. I think he gets a chance, but I think he has a short leash. Garrett Whitlock, this guy was really good last year, but let's see what he can do this coming year. Can he replicate that? Diekman, I definitely think with him, that's a guy who can come in. He can get some strikeouts near the end of the game. I think with the bullpen, they're going to pick and choose their matchups. Hirokazu Sawamura, this is a guy, first year last year, wasn't, amazing last year. He had his moments, but there are times where he would come in and get hit quite a bit. Matt Strahm is a bit of a wild card in this bullpen to me. He is literally just such a Chaim Bloom kind of a guy to pick up. He could end up being really good, maybe one of these diamonds in the rough. Cutter Crawford is a guy I'm looking out for as well. Had some good numbers in the minor leagues, so we'll have to wait and see what he can do. The bullpen is a slight question mark to me. I think it could be a top 15 bullpen. The starting pitching worries me, though. This is where I'm having a tough time with the Red Sox. I can see an argument for an A. They were just in the American League Championship Series last year. They did lose a little bit. Eduardo Rodriguez going to the Tigers. So with the Red Sox, the starting pitching's iffy. I see an argument for a B. Honestly, I think, I don't know, with my Red Sox, I tend to be more of a pessimist. I've always naturally been that way. I don't know. I like to set my expectations low and then be surprised with my Red Sox. I see an argument for an A. I see an argument for a B. I'd probably go B plus right now for the Red Sox. But because we don't have any pluses here, I'm going to stay in the Bs for the Red Sox right now. I know a lot of my fellow Red Sox fans, you might get upset at me for that, but I don't know. I just feel like the starting pitching is a little weak right now, so I'm going to stick with a B, more like a B plus. If I were to pick a word for the Chicago Cubs, I would say fun. I really like the Chicago Cubs team, man. They got some fun players. I love Nick Madrigal. This is a guy that just gets hits. He is awesome. Seiya Suzuki, really excited to see what he can do coming over from Japan. Someone like Nico Horner, looking to see if he can finally just put it together. I love me some Patrick Wisdom and Frank Schwindel. There's some fun players in this lineup. I love Wilson Contreras as well. And also someone like Clint Frazier. Let's see what he can do. Getting away from the pinstripes. Let's see if Wrigley will be a good home for him. I'm a little down on the starting pitching. Kyle Hendricks last year is a guy, ERA in the high 4s. FIP was around there as well. Stroman will be a nice add for innings. I don't think he's an ace. The starting pitching is a little weak to me. The bullpen has potential. I feel like David Robertson is a guy to keep an eye out for, but their closer situation is a little murky right now. They got some decent looking numbers from last year, but then, there's some other guys that definitely could, I don't know what you're going to get with some of these guys as well. If we were to take a look at some prospects to be on the lookout for, also, I forgot to talk about some Red Sox prospects earlier as well. Tristan Casas, look out for him. Duran, Bram Bayo, I definitely think those guys can make an impact for the Red Sox. But looking at the Chicago Cubs, I'm looking out for Brennan Davis. Maybe someone like Caleb Killian can come up this year. If we were to take a look at Caleb Killian from last year, did pretty good through 15 starts, a 2.75 ERA. I think that's a guy we can keep an eye out for. But they have some guys down here. Braylon Marquez, don't forget about him. So we'll have to wait and see with the Cubs. I would say right now with the Cubs, I put them at a C. They got some fun players. The starting pitching is a little iffy to me, though. The bullpen's a bit of a question mark. So I'll go C for the Cubs. The Chicago Cubs looked really good last year, but then they just ran into this really good Astros team last year and ended up falling short. But this White Sox team is really good. I feel like just because of that exit, people are a little more down on the White Sox coming into this year. But to me, I still see a heck of a team here. This lineup looks fantastic. I mean, come on now. I mean, you added A.J. Pollock, who I think will be a nice fit out there in right field. Luis Robert, I'm looking for him to turn into a superstar this year. Eloy Jimenez should be healthy this year, hopefully. That's going to be some power. Yohan Moncada, I am looking for the power to increase this year. His power was a little down last year. You added, Reese McGuire here. Andrew Vaughn is intriguing along with Gavin Sheets to me. I like the addition of Josh Harrison. I like the lineup. There's a lot to like about this lineup. Starting pitching, Lance Lynn, it looks like he's going to miss a little time heading into the season, but I think the big man's going to be okay. Lucas Giolito, he was good last year, but he wasn't really the guy that I thought he was going to be, so I'm looking for that this coming year. Dylan Cease, I think, is a bit underrated. Michael Kopech's a bit of a wild card this year. Looking to see what he can do. Can he finally put it together here and just have himself like just this full, really good season? The stuff is there. But yeah, they're going to need Lance Lynn back eventually. With the bullpen. Bullpen looks fantastic. Liam Hendricks, Bummer, Graveman at the back end. There's a lot to like about this White Sox team. I'm a little worried about the organizational depth. They don't have a lot down here. They got some guys, like you got Colson Montgomery, Oscar Colas, Yoelqui Cespedes, but these guys are a little far away. If they were to maybe go for a trade, at the trade deadline, they could probably get a couple of things done. I don't know if they're going to be able to make any blockbuster kind of moves. The values of some of these guys aren't particularly high. Maybe a couple, but I don't know if they would want to get rid of those guys. But honestly, with the White Sox, I really like their team. They're a really balanced team. I think there's just a lot to like. Honestly, I'm going S tier for the White Sox. I still think they're a really good team. Yeah, early exit last year in the playoffs, but I think they're a really good team, and I think they're going to be really good again this coming year. I'm going to go S tier. The Cincinnati Reds, a lot of people are down on them, but you know what? I think they're going to be a little better than what people think they're going to be. I still like a lot about the Cincinnati Reds team. Yeah, you don't have Winker, you don't have Suarez, you don't have Castellanos anymore, but you know what? I liked some of these low-key additions that they made to try and fill in those spots. I know it's not going to be enough to replace those 3 guys, but I do like what they did. Some kind of out-of-the-box sort of moves. They added some guys with some on-base potential like Tommy Pham, Colin Moran, as well as Jake Fraley. Those are guys that I think could end up making a bit of an impact. Mike Moustakas, I think he's going to have a bounce-back year. I think he's going to finally have himself a pretty good season with the Reds. Still have Joey Votto, have the Rookie of the Year. Aristides Aquino, they're projecting him for some good numbers next year, especially in the slugging. They think he's going to hit, anywhere from 25 to 30 home runs. The power is real with Aristides Aquino. He's just got to put it together. Also, I love Tyler Stevenson. Guy's a heck of a hitter. The starting pitching, there is actually a lot to like about this starting pitching. Luis Castillo, he'll be back eventually. He's got some shoulder soreness right now. But hey, Hunter Green making the rotation. I'm just saying, man, I love me some Hunter Green. Don't forget about Nick Lodolo. He'll be up there eventually. I love that with the Cincinnati Reds. And also, hey, take a look at here at Reiver Sanmartin. This is a guy I want you to keep an eye out for. Not a big sample size last year, 2 starts, but hey, 1.54 ERA, 1.80 FIP. Taking a look at his numbers in the minor leagues, he was pretty good in the minors last year. AA, over 11 strikeouts per 9. AAA, right around 10 strikeouts per 9, a little over 2 walks per 9. Is under a home run per 9. This is a guy, look out for him. I feel like he could end up having a pretty under the radar kind of a year. I think he's actually pretty good. At least the numbers look pretty good. So I'm excited. Also, someone like Art Warren too. This is a guy to keep an eye out for. This is a guy last year. If we're taking a look at his numbers, 26 games, he had a 1.84 FIP. I mean, that's not bad at all. Look at the strikeouts that he had. 14 and a half strikeouts per 9 last year. I mean, I'm telling you, look out for Art Warren. We got Reiver Sanmartin. I think I'm pronouncing that right. But, there's a lot to like about this Reds team. I wouldn't just go, completely shun on this team. I think the Reds right now, I'll put them in a D. I don't think they're an F team like a lot of people think they are. For the Reds, I like some of the things that they have. I'll go D. On to the Cleveland Guardians. No longer the Cleveland Indians. We're going to have to get used to that. But the Guardians, you know what? I was talking about this on my prediction stream the other night. I think this team is going to be really good. I think they're going to be really solid. I think they're going to have a lot of players step up for them this year. I like their lineup. I like what they have. They have versatility in this lineup. They got guys that can hit for power. They got guys that have speed, like Miles Straw. They got Steven Kwan. I am very high on Steven Kwan. This guy is projected to be the right fielder for the Indians this year. This guy is going to be good. I'm telling you, he's my Rookie of the Year pick. I think Steven Kwan's going to be awesome. But I really like the potential of this lineup. Also, hey, big news today. Jose Ramirez just signing an extension. Really like it. Austin Hedges, good defense. I like a lot of this lineup. It's obviously not going to be a banger of a lineup like the Dodgers, but I just like the lineup and the starting pitching. Hey, Shane Bieber, I think he's going to have himself a really good year. I think he's going to be in Cy Young contention this year. I like guys like Plesac, Quantrill, Savali, McKenzie. These are guys that I think could end up turning in some pretty good seasons. Look out for this starting rotation. I think it's pretty underrated. The bullpen's really solid. Clace had himself a good year last year. They had some guys really step up for them last year. The bullpen was one of the best in baseball last year. And also, don't forget about James Karinchak. Eventually, he will be back. This is a guy definitely that can add a lot for your bullpen. I like this Guardians team, but I also just like the depth that they have in the minors. I mean, look out for some of these guys. You got Gabriel Arias, who could help out eventually. Tyler Freeman, look out for him. Don't forget about Nolan Jones. This is a guy, his name's been kind of hanging around there. I'm telling you, this is a really decent team. And the organizational depth is really solid. If they're in contention at the trade deadline, if they're right there in the mix, this is a team that could go out there and maybe make a trade for a guy. Maybe they could go make a trade for someone like Brian Reynolds. We'd have to wait and see. For the Indians right now, I will go C. Oh my goodness, I just said the Indians. The Guardians, C, I'm having a tough time already. I'm going to put them at a C. I think right now, I like what they have. I think this is a team. Look out for them. They got potential. I really like the Guardians this year. On to the Colorado Rockies. A lot of people love to hate this team. But you know what? I think the Rockies are going to be a lot better than what people think. A lot of people thought last year this team was only going to win maybe 50, maybe 60 games. They ended up winning 74. But the Rockies this year, I really like this lineup, especially for Coors Field. Chris Bryant, a big add. He's going to add a lot of versatility for you. I think Chris Bryant, this guy could hit 30 home runs, especially in Coors Field. I love Ryan McMahon. Charlie Blackmon, I like him in the DH spot. CJ Cron was solid last year. Brendan Rodgers, look out for this guy. Young player. He had a pretty decent season last year. I think he takes a step forward. Randall Grichuk. This guy's bat is going to go great in Coors Field. Jose Iglesias, too. This is a guy, he has these weird spurts of offense here and there. I think Iglesias is going to be pretty good. But also look out for someone like Connor Joe. Connor Joe last year, look at the numbers that this guy had. He had a 469 slugging, hit 285, 379 on base. This is a guy to keep an eye out for next year. Really, the starting pitching, it's, I don't know really what to make of it. German Marquez, I do like him. Austin Gomber, I think, ends up being a decent guy. That's one of the guys that got back for Arenado. Kyle Freeland, bit of a wild card to me. ERA projected in the 5s, but last year a 4.33 ERA. Some of these projections, they usually don't look very good for the Rockies, but Alex Colomé, I think this is a good guy for Coors. His cutter is going to work really well there. Pitches that move horizontally tend to work better in Coors instead of, pitches that move more vertically, because the vertical pitches, because of the air, they tend to kind of just hang there, while pitches that move horizontally, they tend to do better there. So Alex Colomé and his cutter, I think it would do pretty good. Daniel Bard, not a great year last year, ERA in the 5s, but this is a guy, 80 strikeouts over 65 innings last year. I think Daniel Bard ends up having a pretty decent year. So overall, with the Rockies, there's not a whole lot going on. I think in terms of being a winning team, like a team that could go for a wild card. I don't think they're there yet. But I think this is a pretty decent looking team. I think they're going to be better than what people think. Look out for some guys like, I can never pronounce his name, Elihuris Montero. I think I said that right. And Ryan Rollison. Look out for these guys. Montero is one of the guys that got back in the Arenado trade. I don't know if you noticed this last year, but he had a 360 on base, and he had 28 home runs in the minors last year. So I'm looking to see if this guy can make an appearance. But for the Rockies, I don't think they're an F. I think a lot of people would put the Rockies here. I'm going to go D for the Rockies. Honestly, I think this team maybe could surprise some people this year, but for now, I'm going to start off at a D. The Detroit Tigers are well on their way. I am so excited to see what the Tigers can do this year. Just adding Austin Meadows, I think that's going to be a pretty nice bat for them. Spencer Torkelson, that's the guy I'm looking for this year. This bat is going to be special. I'm looking to see what he can do. They're projecting him for 29 home runs and a 490 slugging. I mean, these would be awesome numbers. Those are rookie of the year kind of numbers easily. But I really like this lineup overall. He added a Javier Baez in the offseason. Akil Baddoo's a fun player. Can he keep it going? Robbie Grossman's pretty solid. And Miguel Cabrera, whatever. He'll be a veteran bat there at this point. I really like this lineup. I really do. And then you got some guys on the bench too. Eric Haas, man, this is a guy who's got some power. Look out for him. Eduardo Rodriguez, added him in the offseason. I don't think he's an ace, but I think he's a solid guy for your rotation. I'm looking for Casey Mize to take a step forward this year. Skubal, Manning, Alexander there as well. Gregory Soto scares me as a closer a little bit. The walks kind of scare me. We'll have to see, can he hang on to that closer role. I feel like the walks could end up becoming an issue. But other than that, you got some other guys in this bullpen that could end up being pretty decent. You did have Andrew Chafin that you added, but he strained his groin, so look out for him to come back eventually. There's also Cisnero and Funkhauser. Look out for those guys to come back soon. So overall, with this Tigers team, I think they're on track. They're on track to be a very good team. I think a lot of people would agree. But where will they finish this year? They were 8 games under 500 last year. I definitely think this team can be over 500 this year. So I'm looking to see, maybe even at least, could they maybe improve by 10 wins? We'll have to wait and see. I definitely think they could get to 83, 85. But maybe they could even do better than that. Maybe they'll be right there for a wild card. For now, the Tigers, I'm going to go C. I could see an argument for a B. I think that I see some people really liking this Tigers team. For me, I'm going to start off at a C. The Houston Astros, coming off of a World Series appearance. This Astros team is still looking pretty good coming into this year. Won 95 games last year. You did lose Carlos Correa, so that will be a bit of a hit to this team. You are going with Jeremy Pena. I love the glove. Let's see what he can do in terms of the bat. They're projecting him for 20 home runs this coming year. That's not bad. I think if you could get 20 home runs from Pena, I mean, that's not bad, especially losing Carlos Correa, but I love some of these other bats. I love Kyle Tucker. Bregman, I think, has a better year this year. The slugging and the power were a little down last year. Same with Brantley. I'm looking to see if Brantley can add a little more pop for this year. Altuve is always solid out there. Yuli Gurriel, Yordan Alvarez. Really like this lineup a lot. The starting pitching is a little questionable. Verlander coming back from Tommy John, that's going to be big. Odorizzi, this is a guy he's going to get a chance now to see what he can do in the rotation. Looking to see what he can do. Framber Valdez was pretty solid for the most part last year. 22 starts. Did miss some starts, but a 3.14 ERA. Jose Urquidy, Luis Garcia. Really like Luis Garcia last year. Let's see what he can do in 2022. Let's see if he can take a step forward. Love the back end. I love Presley. I love Stanek. Neris is pretty solid. Mayton, I think, actually is a pretty underrated guy. I think he's going to end up being really solid in middle relief. Rafael Montero as well. Not great numbers last year, but some of the advanced numbers looked pretty good for Rafael Montero last year. This Astros team is still really good. The starting pitching is a little bit of a question mark in terms of health. Don't forget about Lance McCullers Jr. too. Who knows when he's going to come back? He's got a strained flexor tendon in the elbow, so who knows? I mean, that if you could get him back, that's really going to help, obviously. But the starting pitching, it looks good, but I do worry about the health of Verlander just a little bit. I still really like this lineup a lot. I still really like this Astros team. I think a lot of people they want to give up on the Astros. They want to just move forward. I think a lot of people are having Astros fatigue, especially, with the whole trash can thing a few years ago. I think people, they want to move on from the Astros, but I still think this Astros team is really good, man. I could see an argument for either an A or an S. I mean, honestly, with the Astros, until I see this team fall off, I'm just going to keep them at an S. They're just really good. They're really good. Every single year, they're just really good. I don't know what else to say. I mean, losing Correa will definitely hurt, so that's why I could see some people maybe going down to an A. But Jeremy Pena, I really like him a lot. I'm going to stay with an S for the Houston Astros. Moving on to the Kansas City Royals. They kind of remind me of the Cubs a little bit in terms of fun players. I really like some of these players on here. I love me some Andrew Benintendi. Always will. Salvador Perez, just hitting home runs left and right. Bobby Witt Jr., though, he's going to be the star of the show. Everyone's going to have his eyes on him. This is a guy, easy Rookie of the Year candidate. I'm really excited to see Bobby Witt Jr. I thought we were going to see him last year. Love Nicky Lopez. There's a lot of potential in this Royals lineup. I really like a lot of it. Now, where I start to get a little questionable is this starting pitching. Young starting pitching, they definitely had their troubles last year. Brad Keller in the 5s with his ERA. Brady Singer, though, I think Brady Singer takes a step forward this year. Zach Greinke going back to the Royals. I think he's going to be a nice piece for them to kind of help stabilize that rotation. Hey, it's a good story as well. I actually really like this bullpen. I love Barlow back there. I love Stalman. I love Garrett. I thought that was a sneaky ad for them, getting him over in that trade with the Reds. So overall, I think this Royals team looks pretty good. And also, if we take a look at some of these prospects, I'm really excited for someone like Nick Pratto. This guy is just going to bang, man. He had a 385 on base last year. He had 36 home runs overall. Definitely strikes out a little bit, but this is a guy I'm going to be on the lookout for. Also, MJ Melendez. This guy just went off last year. He had 41 home runs. So could you imagine Melendez and Pratto come up this year? And they'd have so much power in that lineup. That'd be ridiculous. Also, look out for Kyle Isbell, too. I really like a lot on this Royals team. I just don't know if they're going to be able to just put everything together. I'm a little iffy about that starting rotation. I think for now, 74 wins last year. I think for the Royals, I got to go D for right now. I definitely think this is a team that maybe could be a C or a B by mid-season. Possibly. It could be a sneaky team this year for the Royals, but I'm going to stick with a D. Every year, I'm a big fan of the Angels because they always just look really good and they always disappoint you. But this year, you know what? I'm ready to get my heart broken again because I'm going into this season liking the Angels, and I actually like them more than prior seasons. I'm going to start off with the bullpen here. Really like some of these additions in the bullpen. Archie Bradley, Aaron Loop, Ryan Tepera, but also Austin Warren last year hey, he was pretty good. Austin Warren, 1.77 ERA over 20 innings last year. I think that's a guy to keep an eye out for in the bullpen. This bullpen to me looks really good. It looks really improved. And the starting pitching, adding Noah Syndergaard, Patrick Sandoval, I think is going to be really solid. Michael Lorenzen, going to give them some depth. They just haven't had too much depth in the last couple of years. Reed Detmers, hey, went through his growing pains. Rookie season last year, 5 starts, cup of coffee. I think Reed Detmers ends up being pretty solid. The projections for him, they think an ERA in the 4s. So this is a guy, he can rack up strikeouts, man. He's got a great curveball. So, and obviously, Shohei Ohtani. I wonder, is Ohtani going to be near what he did last year on Fangraphs? He had, between his batting and his pitching, an 8 wins above replacement. So will he get back to that level? I always worry about the durability with Ohtani. I mean, not just because that he's batting and he's pitching, but, he's had arm troubles in the past. So looking out for Ohtani, but with the bat, this guy is just going to be incredible. They've got really good projections for him again next year. Also, 23 stolen bases. Are you kidding me? The return of Mike Trout. This last year was really the first year where we saw Mike Trout dealing with the injury bug. Is that going to be a thing moving forward? I hope not, because Mike Trout, my goodness, if he is good and he is healthy, this guy's he's going to return with a vengeance. Anthony Rendon, I think he ends up being pretty solid next year. Down year last year, he was dealing with some injuries and whatnot. Only had 249 plate appearances. But I think he gets back to being Anthony Rendon that we used to know. So I really like that. I like Brandon Marsh and Joe Adell, 2 young outfielders. Adell, I'm looking to see him, kind of take that step forward. He came up to the majors a couple of years ago. He just hadn't really done anything since then. But they do like him for next year. 25 home runs and a 444 slugging. Would like to see that batting average and the on base come up, but I do like Brandon Marsh. I think he's solid. I really like a lot about this Angels team. I really do. I just need to see him prove it to me. I'm going to go with a B for the Angels. I definitely think this is a team that could be in the hunt for a wild card spot. And I think they could be in the hunt for the division as well. For now, I'm going to go B. Let's go to the other team in LA, the Dodgers. Oh my. They're looking pretty good once again coming into this year. Freddie Freeman, yeah, you lost Corey Seager, but Freddie Freeman's a solid replacement for him in the lineup. You have him at first now, Trey Turner at short. Mookie Betts, I think, is going to get back to being Mookie Betts. I still cry myself to sleep every night that he is not on the Red Sox. Turner was really solid last year. Max Muncy's going to be the DH now. Looking to see what Cody Bellinger can do. Can he get back to being the old Cody Bellinger? I think if you can get these projections here, 26 home runs, 245 average, 478 slugging, 333 on base, I think Dodger fans would be happy with that. Gavin Lux, I think he ends up being pretty decent this year. I think he actually beats these projections for next year. Hey, Gavin Lux, man, there was a reason he was the number 1 overall prospect at one point. The starting pitching, man, Walker Buehler, Julio Urias, these guys had great seasons last year. Kershaw, it came back. How's he going to be with the injury bug? There's always something going on with Clayton Kershaw. Don't forget about Trevor Bauer. I do think he comes back eventually. I really do. There's some people out there that say, no, he's probably not coming back. No, I don't see it. He's going to come back eventually. He was cleared of all the charges. I just think there's no way he doesn't come back. How long will it be? We'll have to wait and see. Bullpen, the bullpen a little bit. I'm a little iffy about this bullpen. You don't know what you're going to get with Craig Kimbrell. This guy was solid with the Cubs. And then, it was, the last year and a half prior to that, he had his troubles. And, but with the White Sox, did not do very good. So what are we going to get out of Kimbrell? We're going to have to wait and see. Trinan, I think, is going to be really good in the setup role. No Joe Kelly anymore in middle relief. So these guys are going to have to step up. But, these guys look pretty good too. I love Alex Vesia. Daniel Hudson's going to be solid there as well. Brusdar Graterol. I'm a big fan of Brusdar Graterol. So, hey, big, heavy fastball. I like it. Justin Brule. They got some guys here. Don't forget about David Price. So, what else is there to say about the Dodgers? They look fantastic. Their organizational depth is also fantastic. If they wanted to go make a trade, they can. They got prospects for days. This Dodgers team, they're once again going to be at the top. S tier. Another team that I think could be sneaky this year, the Miami Marlins. Hey, man, they had a bad offense last year, but they made some changes to this lineup, and they're looking decent. Jorge Soler, this guy was awesome in the World Series and with the Braves in the second half after he got traded there. Can he keep it going with the Marlins? I hope so, because that bat is really going to help them. They added some other guys. Jacob Stallings, I thought, was a really nice add. I love the addition of Joey Wendell. Love the addition of Avisel Garcia. I really like the way this Marlins team looks. You know, it's not going to be the best offense out there, but I think it's really solid. The starting pitching, young starting pitching, all the potential in the world. Love Alcantara. Love Trevor Rogers. Pablo Lopez, hopefully he can be a little more healthy this year. We can get 30 starts out of him. And hopefully Trevor Rogers can get to 30 starts too. Jesus Luzardo, all the upside. He was having his struggles last year, but near the end, he started looking a little better. We're going to have to wait and see. They're projecting some better numbers for him. And then Eliezer Hernandez is the fifth guy. There's upside in this rotation. There's solid guys. I really like the starting rotation a lot. And actually, let's go take a look at the Marlins in the farm. They got some guys down here as well. Look out for Edward Cabrera. You know, maybe this is a guy. He pitched 7 games last year. Maybe he can make his way back to the major leagues this year. He had some pretty good numbers in the minors last year. Maybe Uri Perez can just continue to rise really quick. Max Meyer. Look out for Max Meyer. This guy was just banging last year in the minor leagues. He had a 2.27 ERA and 22 starts. Man, oh man. And then Sixto Sanchez, you know, he had shoulder surgery. Not really sure when they're thinking he's going to come back. As of right now, they're saying as of March 24th, he's been shut down from throwing for at least another month. So maybe we could see him in the second half. We'll have to wait and see. But, hey, and the bullpen, they got some guys in this bullpen that I think could be really good. They just added Sulser and Scott the other day. I thought those were some pretty nice adds. Scott last year, you know, he had his troubles, but he had a good amount of strikeouts over 54 innings, so maybe they could figure something out with him. Sulser last year had a 2.70 ERA. I really like this. The bullpen looks a lot better. I think this Marlins team can be really sneaky. You know, only won 67 games last year, but they're really improved. Look out for the Marlins this year. I'm actually going to go see for the Marlins. I really like the additions. I like the offseason that they had. I would have loved Nick Castellanos, but hey, you made some other moves. Really like it. I'm going to go see for the Marlins. On to the NL Central champions from last year, the Milwaukee Brewers. 95 wins last year, and they had a decent offseason. You added guys like Hunter Renfroe, Andrew McCutchen. You lost Avisel Garcia, but those guys should add plenty of enough pop to replace Avisel Garcia. But the big story to me is Christian Yelich. This is a guy, you know, not a great year last year overall. I mean, not bad when it comes to the on-base percentage, but only 9 home runs last year, a 373 slugging. But there are some good signs with Christian Yelich. His exit velocity was still looking pretty good last year. Just the expected numbers and the barrels were down a little bit. He still doesn't chase a whole lot. He does strike out a little bit, but he doesn't chase a whole lot. He still walks a whole ton. So Christian Yelich, I definitely think he can bounce back this year with more power. The starting pitching is the story for the Milwaukee Brewers. Corbin Burns, Cy Young winner. I mean, what else is there to say about Corbin Burns? This guy just strikes out a ton of guys, and he barely walks anyone. I mean, that's if there's a perfect formula out there for a starting pitcher, it's Corbin Burns. Woodruff is really solid. Peralta's solid. Not really I don't feel any type of way about the starting pitching. It's very good. Bullpen, you still got Hader and Williams back there. You got some decent options in middle relief and in setup. You know, honestly, I like this Brewers team. I don't think they're an S-tier team, but I'm going to go A for the Milwaukee Brewers. I still think they're really solid. They're going to have some competition this year with the Cardinals. Look out for the Cardinals. We'll talk about them in here in a little bit. But the Brewers, I think you got to go A for now. On to the New York Mets. What an offseason for the New York Mets. How much did they spend? Like $8 billion, something like that. Let's go talk about Max Scherzer first. You are going to be without Jacob deGrom for who knows how long. Hopefully not too long, but good thing they added Max Scherzer, man. They had to spend a whole ton of money to get him, but if they didn't have him, this starting pitching would not be looking too great. Scherzer, he was having some issues with the hamstring, but it looks like he's going to be fine. Listen, with Max Scherzer, he's always got something nagging going on. You know, if you go back the last few years, there's always something going on with Max Scherzer. He never has like any of these major injuries, but there's always something where he'll miss a start here and there. You know, I think he's going to end up being just fine. He's going to be huge for them. They're projecting good numbers, a 3.29 FIP and a 3.26 ERA, good amount of strikeouts, not really walking a whole lot of guys. Scherzer is still going to be very good for the New York Mets, even though he is 37 years old. He's going to be a bulldog out there. If Jacob deGrom can come back soon, that is as good of a 1-2 punch that I can remember. Chris Bassett was a solid add. Carrasco, Walker, looking for these guys to take step forwards next year. Like the way the bullpen looks. I did not like them moving on from Aaron Loop. It would have been nice if they brought him back. But and Edwin Diaz, I still think this guy is one of the top closers in the game. His stuff is just nasty. Trevor May, solid. Adam Ottavino, I think he's going to fit better in that ballpark. Fenway Park, it wasn't the greatest fit. So Ottavino, I think he does better out in Citi Field. Still like Seth Lugo a lot. You know, the bullpen looks pretty good, honestly. And take a look and be on the lookout for Tyler McGill. This is a guy, he showed some good things last year. Be on the lookout for him. But I like the added versatility for the lineup. I like Mark Canha. I like Eduardo Escobar. Those guys are going to bring a lot of relief because they had some injuries last year. They had guys having down years. I think the Mets, they're really going to appreciate having those two guys there. And then Starling Marte as well. Had himself a really good year last year. I don't think people realized how good of a year he had last year. So the only thing I'm worried about with him is just health, along with Brandon Nimmo. So that's the only thing with this Mets team, man, is just the health, the depth. You know, they got a couple of guys down in the minor leagues that maybe could help out. You know, they're not the best when it comes to depth, but maybe someone like Brett Beatty can make an appearance this year. Mark Vientos is right there. You still got Khalil Lee. He came up last year, didn't really do anything, but look out for him again. So with the Mets, the only thing I'm worried about, the talent looks great. They're very top heavy, but when it comes to the organizational depth, it's still not very strong. So I'm just worried if, you know, some of these guys go down. How are they going to do? Don't forget about Jeff McNeil. He had a down year last year. I'm looking for an improvement, as well as Francisco Lindor. Have I not touched on Lindor yet? Down season for him last year, but they are expecting some better numbers. 467 slugging, 29 home runs. Lindor, he showed some good things last year. I think this guy was putting a lot of pressure on himself last year. He was getting mixed up at the plate. You know, I think he's going to end up being a lot better. For the Mets, I'm going to go A right now. I could see a lot of people going S. But to me, the depth worries me a little bit. You know, DeGrom, when's he going to come back? There's some question marks with this Mets team, but they're going to be in a dogfight for that East and the wild card spots. But for the Mets right now, I'm going to go A. Let's stay in New York and talk about the Yankees. They actually had a pretty decent offseason. I actually really like the addition of Josh Donaldson. I saw some people not liking that too much, but last year, he was pretty good. Look at his on base from last year, 352, 26 home runs, 475 slugging. That's really good. I love the addition of Isaiah Kiner-Falefa. This is a guy, he's not going to really do a whole bunch with the bat, but what he brings to the table for the Yankees, his glove and his speed, they did not have a lot of that last year, so he is going to be a nice addition for them. Addition by subtraction, Gary Sanchez going back to the Twins in that trade. Higashioka, I think, is going to be the better option. He's had a really good spring. He's going to give some good defense. I really like Higashioka a lot. There's some things I like about this lineup and some things I don't like. Aaron Hicks, I don't know what the heck this guy is going to do. If this guy can stay healthy, that's going to be really nice for them. The projections for Aaron Hicks this year, you know, they're looking okay, but the batting average is low to me. So, I don't know, health-wise, what are you going to get out of him? Gleyber Torres, you know, this guy hasn't really found his footing in the last couple of years. What's going to happen with him? Got DJ LeMahieu as of right now projected for the bench. So, you know, what's going to happen there? We'll have to wait and see. And then, obviously, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton. You know, these two guys, when healthy, are at the top of their game. They're one of the best bats, and they're two of the best bats in the game. Really like these two when they're healthy. Aaron Judge, you know, will he get that extension? We'll have to wait and see. But for these two guys, I'm looking for health. Anthony Rizzo, that's a good guy to bring back. I like Joey Gallo out there as well. It's a good-looking lineup, and I like that it's, you know, you got some lefties in here now. You got Kiner-Falefa, who brings speed and a glove. I like the way their lineup looks. The starting pitching, Garrett Cole's Garrett Cole. Luis Severino, they did not add a number 2 guy this past offseason. Is Luis Severino going to come back and be that number 2 guy for you? Garrett Cole, you know, he's great, but you need someone else behind Cole. Jordan Montgomery to me is more of a 3. So Severino, I'm going to have my eyes on him this year. The bullpen still looks really good. Chapman, I think, ends up doing better this year. Had some downers last year, but I think he ends up being really solid. Loaisiga, he's going to be great. Clay Holmes, he broke out with the Yankees last year. That was a great trade for them. You got some other guys in this bullpen that are going to be very useful for them. Also, look out for Ron Marinaccio. Marinaccio, I think it's Ron Marinaccio. This guy had some pretty decent numbers last year in the minor leagues. Look out for him. I think he ends up being pretty good. Look out for Clark Schmidt, too. Clark Schmidt, this is a guy, a lot of Yankee fans, they've been excited about Clark Schmidt over the last few years. Can he finally, be that guy and, get himself into the rotation and end up being a really good guy for them? We'll have to wait and see. They got some depth in this organization as well. They need to call upon some guys down in the minor leagues. But this Yankee team, I think they're really solid. I'm not going to go S tier for the Yankees as of right now, but I'm going to go A. I really like their team. There are some question marks, but overall, I think they're a really solid team. I'm going to go A. Moving on to the Oakland A's. Not going to waste a lot of time here. I'm just going to go F for the A's. This team's going into full rebuild mode as of right now. They brought in some great prospects this offseason with the guys they got rid of. But yeah, they are what they are. You still got Frankie Montas here. I would imagine it was looking like maybe he was going to get traded. And now I think they're going to wait until the deadline. They're going to wait for that price to get jacked up. It's a bit risky because you never know what's going to happen with him in the first half, but they're banking on him having a pretty good season. So Montas, I think he ends up going at the trade deadline or maybe a little sooner. So, but other than that, I mean, you got some pieces. Tony Kemp is fun. Sean Murphy, good young catcher. Kevin Smith, I'm intrigued to see what he can do at third, replacing Matt Chapman. Christian Pache. Hey, former top prospect in the game, former Braves top prospect. Looking to see what he can do. The glove is awesome, but what's he going to do with the bat? This is not a whole lot going on here. I'm also looking out for someone like A.J. Puck. Also, don't forget about Lou Trevino. That's a guy that could be some trade bait as well. But A.J. Puck, hey, this is one of their top prospects, going back the last few years. Can he finally put something together here? Big guy. We'll have to wait and see. But for now, just going to go F. I loved the additions of Castellanos and Schwarber for the Phillies. The top of that lineup is going to be looking really good. As of right now, you got Schwarber leading off according to the projections, and then Castellanos batting fourth. But no matter how they end up doing it, this lineup is going to be a lot better. You extended it a lot with these two guys. Harper's got a lot more protection. Real Muto is going to be in there still. Rhys Hoskins, underrated guy, had some injuries last year, but he was doing pretty good last year. Didi Gregorius, what's he going to end up doing? We'll have to wait and see. Alec Boehm, I don't know what, with Alec Boehm as of right now, he's going to have to really pick up the pace. He had a bad season last year. Who knows what they end up doing with him? But as of right now, Fangraphs, they're thinking Bryson Stott for third base. I don't know. With Didi Gregorius, could Bryson Stott end up moving to short? Maybe Alec Boehm ends up moving to third. We'll have to wait and see. But the lineup looks a lot better. Matt Vierling, look out for him. As of right now, they got Mickey Moniak projected for center field. So there still are some question marks here about who gets playing time. But, man, the lineup looks a lot better overall. Starting pitching looks great. Aaron Nola, Zach Wheeler, really solid. Ranger Suarez, this guy was like unhittable last year when he was making starts in the second half. Ranger Suarez, man, I think he's going to be really good. Don't forget about Kyle Gibson and Eflin in there. Starting pitching looks great. The thing with the Phillies, it's always the bullpen. It's always the bullpen with the Phillies. You just never know what this bullpen's going to do. I like Corey Knebel added here for the closer role. This guy's got good stuff, so let's see if he can be fully healthy this year and turn in a solid year. You got some other guys. You added Familia and Hand. You got some other guys in here with some potential. But, man, that Phillies lineup, it looks really good. The starting pitching looks really good. You don't have a lot in the organization that you can turn to. You got some prospects maybe you could turn to, but there's not a whole lot down there on the farm. With the Phillies, I think there's an argument for an A. I think there's an argument for a B. Kind of like the Red Sox. I would probably say like a B plus right now. I'm going to stick with B for the Phillies. They are looking really good. I love Schwarber and Castellanos for that lineup, but they just got to show that they're there. They've had good teams the last couple of years. They just haven't really been able to to get it done. You know, I'm a little worried about the bullpen, you know, because you never know what you're going to get with this Phillies bullpen. But for right now, for the Phillies, I would probably say like a B+, but I'll stick with the B tier for now. On to the Pittsburgh Pirates. Won't waste a lot of time here. I'll go F. But for the Pirates, you got some exciting young players. Looking out for O'Neal Cruz this year. But keep Brian Hayes, man. This guy was really fun last year. Looking to see if he can take a step forward. Brian Reynolds, this guy was really solid last year. He's been in a lot of trade rumors. You know, will this guy end up getting traded? We'll have to wait and see. But you got some other guys here. You know, maybe someone like Daniel Vogelbach or Yoshi Sasugo, they can have pretty good first halves and maybe be trade bait. I'm looking out for some other guys. You know, Michael Chavis, you know, former Red Sox. This is a make or break year for him. He's only 26 years old, but I'm looking to see if he can do anything with the Pirates this year. I think they'll give him a chance. Looking out for Mitch Keller in the rotation. Also Zach Thompson as well. Maybe Jose Quintana can pitch well and he could be trade bait. I like Bednar in the bullpen. Really do. I think he could end up being some trade bait. We'll have to wait and see. But the Pirates, you know, they're rebuilding right now. And actually, let's go take a look at some of these Pirates prospects. One guy I'm going to be on the lookout for is Nick Gonzalez. This guy was really good in the minors last year. He was in high A ball, but I think maybe he'll end up spending another full year down there. But who knows? Maybe he could be a fast riser. Look out for him. Could we end up maybe seeing Henry Davis late in the season? Maybe. I don't know. Roansy Contreras. This is a guy to keep an eye out for. He did pitch a game last year, 3 innings, but he had some good numbers last year. Over 13 starts in the minors. He had a 2.64 ERA. He had 82 strikeouts over 58 innings. This is an underrated prospect to me. Keep an eye out for him. We also have Leover Peguero. Last year in A ball, he hit, you know, not bad numbers overall. Hit 270, a 332 on base. But he did have 14 home runs. He'd had 28 stolen bases. He's got a 55 hit tool, 60 run. So maybe we could see him at some point. We'll have to wait and see. But for the Pirates, really, it's all about the young guys right now. I'm going to go F tier. What a disappointing year for the Padres last year. There were a lot of hopes for San Diego, and their hopes and dreams came crashing down. Already this year, Fernando Tatis Jr. starting off the year on the IL. So it's going to be a little while before we see him. But you know, I still have hopes for this Padres team. I like the addition of Luke Voit. I think that was a really nice add for them. A good change of scenery, I think, will be good for him. They're projecting him for 26 home runs last year. They're going to need it. They were, you know, not very good with team slugging percentage last year. So if he's healthy, you know, I know it's a phrase that likes to get thrown around, but if he is healthy, he could really add a lot to this lineup. You know, Cronenworth was great last year. Machado was very solid. I think those guys keep being good. Grisham, though, he needs to take a step forward. He needs to improve with the slugging percentage. He needs to get the power up a little bit. Eric Hosmer, man, hey, one of the worst contracts in baseball, but can he contribute for this Padres team? They're really going to need it. Hey, look at here. CJ Abrams, as of right now, is projected to be the shortstop as of right now. Who knows what ends up happening there, but Fangraphs, that's what they're thinking right now. Could you imagine CJ Abrams ends up starting the year in the major leagues? Are you kidding me? But you got Ha-Seong Kim there too. We're going to have to wait and see. Last year, that was a fun signing, but is he going to end up turning into anything? I don't know. He will add versatility, so that is nice. You also added Matt Beatty. He'll add something there, a left-handed bat. But starting pitching, it's looking a little deeper. Yu Darvish, he had some bumps last year. Joe Musgrove was really good, but he's had arm troubles in the past. How's he going to be durability-wise? Love the addition of Sean Manaea. That's going to add some depth. Blake Snell had his ups and downs last year. So can he get back on track, you know, a more consistent year this year? Nick Martinez coming back over from Japan. So he was really good in Japan. In the majors before Japan, he wasn't very good. He went over there. He did really well. Let's see if he does any better for the Padres. There's a lot of upside in this bullpen. You got Lamet, you got Suarez, you got Pierce Johnson. Adams are all possible closing options. So the bullpen last year, they got really taxed because the starting pitching was so thin. Also, don't forget about Mike Clevinger, but he's having some knee issues right now. The Padres, there's a lot of what-ifs for this team. But if it all comes together for the Padres, they could definitely make the playoffs. So for the Padres, I'm going to go B as of right now. On On to the Seattle Mariners. They were arguably the most fun team last year. And hey, this offseason, they only got better, made some really good additions. Jesse Winker, he's going to hit the crap out of righties this year. Can't really hit lefties, but he will do really well against righties. They're going to use him well. Suarez, a nice power bat there. Kyle Seager, retiring. Suarez, he'll be a nice replacement for him. Julio Rodriguez, that to me is the story. This guy has just been banging in spring training. I think he ends up having a really solid season for them. There's something different about Julio Rodriguez. Just the way, how mature he is out there. He's just a calm, collected kid, 21 years old, but he just handles himself out there like he's just been doing this for a long time. Jared Kelenic, people I think are pretty split on Jared Kelenic. I think he ends up being pretty solid. I don't think he's going to be like this superstar player, but I think these numbers here, maybe like 20, 25 home runs, anywhere from a 230, 260 average, maybe like a 320, 330 on base. I think Kelenic ends up being pretty solid. JP Crawford, really like him. Good glove last year. He'll definitely add something out of the 9-hole. Really like Abraham Toro on the bench. I like Kyle Riley, Torrens, Moore. I like the bench. I really like the way this Mariners offense and the bench looks. Starting pitching is looking pretty solid. Robbie Ray, Cy Young last year. Will he put up those Cy Young numbers again? I don't know. But either way, Robbie Ray, it looks like he was having some issues a couple of years ago, but he's got himself back on track in a huge way. Big fan of Logan Gilbert, man. Big fan. Big fastball. Really like the potential of him. You got Marco Gonzalez and Chris Flexen. They're going to give you starts and innings. Matt Brash, really exciting at the back end of the rotation. Bullpen looks really good. Organizational depth. I mean, this Mariners team, maybe I'm getting a little ahead of myself here, but I'm going to go A for the Mariners. They're checking off a lot of boxes for me. I really like this Mariners team. I think they do really good. I think a lot of people think they're not quite there yet. I think they are. I think they're ready. I think this is going to be a really good team this year. I'm going A for the Mariners. 107 wins for the Giants last year. Are you kidding me? Last year, Pacoda, Fangraphs, they were projecting these guys to get, 60 to 70 wins, and they ended up getting 107. Are you kidding me? Man, they made those projections look completely stupid. And yeah, they lost Buster Posey. No more Chris Bryant. I still think, and Kevin Gausman as well. This team, they're still really solid, man. I still think they're going to be right there for a playoff spot. I still really like a lot about this team. You still got Crawford. He had a great year. Belt had a great year last year. Yastrzemski, a bit of a down year, but I think he ends up picking up the pace here in 2022. Love the addition of Jock Peterson. This guy, everywhere he goes, he just wins. He just wins, and he's going to be really good for this Giants team. The Giants, analytical, very analytical. They're going to use these platoons to their advantage. I really like what the Giants do in terms of matchups. I like it. No more Donovan Solano. That's another one, but I think they're going to be able to replace him. They're going to be fine without him. Joey Bart, he's going to be splitting time with Casali. So I think, Joey Bart, that'd be great if this guy can. He's had a lot of potential the last few years. So that'd be great, man, if he can turn in a little more offense than what they're projecting. So losing Buster Posey, man, yeah, you're losing a bat, but you're just losing the guy that was just the leader of that team. So I wonder how much that affects them. They still got a lot of really solid veteran guys here. So Logan Webb, that's my Cy Young pick for this year. I'm excited about Logan Webb. I think he's going to be really good, man. Carlos Rodon, a lot of upside. Desclafani, Wood, Cobb. I thought Cobb was a nice signing. I really like this Giants team, man. Good-looking bullpen. Camilo Duvall, really excited about him. Man, what else is there to say, man? Evan Longoria should come back eventually. LaStella, Lamont Wade Jr., we'll see those guys eventually. I still really like this Giants team. I'm going to go A for the San Francisco Giants. I feel like people are kind of sleeping on them a little bit, but I still think they're really good. Giants, I'm going to go A. The St. Louis Cardinals. This team got red hot last year en route to a playoff spot. They fell in the wild card game, but they brought that Dodgers team right to the limit. They were right there in the end. That Cardinals team definitely could have won that game. They just didn't have enough offense, but the offense, I still really like this team and the lineup. It's going to be really solid yet again. Goldschmidt, O'Neill were awesome last year. Carlson, I think, ends up just getting better. Arenado still going to be really solid with the bat. Great defense. Paul DeJong, I think, ends up giving you a little more than he did last year. I think he's going to end up being fine. Bader, he was really good in the second half last year. I'm looking for Bader to just keep taking a step forward. There's a lot of step forwards to be made with this Cardinals team. You got Oliver Marmol now as your manager. And, you know, he's been with them for a little while. He was the bench coach. I don't think there's going to be any issues there. That's a guy, I mean, these players are very familiar with him. I think he's going to be a very calming presence to this Cardinals team. I love the defense, though. I love the defense of the St. Louis Cardinals. You got defense all over the place. Paul Goldschmidt at first, Nolan Arenado at third, Paul DeJong at short, Bader in center field, O'Neal's decent out in left field, Carlson's decent out in right field, and also, hey, Albert Pujols making his return to St. Louis. You know, I think Pujols, I think they're going to do well with his right-handed bat. They'll mix in, you know, guys like Corey Dickerson and Newt Barr in there as well. But I think Albert Pujols ends up being a pretty solid addition for them, kind of like he was for the Dodgers. Like he wasn't, you know, the superstar player for them, but he was giving you some solid at-bats. He was giving you some power. I think Pujols does the same thing with the St. Louis Cardinals. The starting pitching, it is a little up in the air. Jack Flaherty, what's going to happen with him? But I love the addition of Steven Matz. Ground ball guy. He's going to really benefit with that defense behind him. I love it. They're actually projecting Jordan Hicks for the 5th spot. I would guess maybe just as like an opener. But Jack Flaherty, they're going to really want him back eventually. Hopefully, you know, this is a guy, he's got so much talent. I hope he makes it back. Adam Wainwright, great season last year. I don't think he's going to, you know, put up those numbers again. I think he still is really solid for them. Michaelis and Hudson, I think these guys come back and end up being really solid. I like the Cardinals' depth in the rotation. Don't forget about Matthew Liberatore. That's going to be really good for them. I think the bullpen, there's a lot of good arms here. Gallegos, Cabrera, Helsley, those are all options for closer. You know, they're saying this spring the Cardinals, their closing duties are going to be fluid. I think it's just going to work itself out, kind of like how it did last year. Alex Reyes, what happens with him is, you know, maybe out for a couple of months. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But I like a lot about this Cardinals team. To me, they're kind of in the same boat to me as the Red Sox and the Phillies, like a B+ kind of a level. I really do want to put them at an A. I think they end up being a really good team this year. I think for right now, the Cardinals, I'm going to stay B. They're a B+ really to me. I really would like to put them at an A. That defense, I'm just so enamored with that defense. I love it. They're one of the best defenses last year. I really like the pitching. I think they just figured something out in the second half last year. I'm very tempted to put them at an A. So let me know in the chat, where do you think the Cardinals should go? Do you think they should be an A, a B? With me, I always like to be a little more conservative. I'll stay B for the Cardinals, but I'm telling you, by the end of the season, they could be right up here. They could definitely be here. But for now, I'll stay B. Can people please stop sleeping on the Tampa Bay Rays? You know what? I'm just going to do it right now. I'm going to go S tier. You know why? Because the Tampa Bay Rays just win. Do they have any of these superstar players? You know, like the Yankees having Aaron Judge and the Braves having Ronald Acuna Jr., you know, the White Sox having some really good players, the Astros having some really good players, you know, the Dodgers. Do they have superstar players like that? No. They don't. Well, they got a couple of really good guys, but they're just such a well-run team. They're well-coached. The organization is just fantastic. They hit all the right buttons. I'm going S tier, whether you like it or not. This team won 100 games last year. They won 100 games. So you might be thinking, oh, they don't have Glass now. Well, so what? They always figure it out. Every single year they figure it out. And they still got some really good arms in this rotation. I like McClanahan. I like Rasmussen. I like Yarbrough. Yarbrough, I think he needs to show me a little bit more. Kluber, I think he's going to be a really solid addition for them. Patino, young flamethrower. I'm excited for him. Well, as a Red Sox fan, no, I'm not excited. But I think he could end up being pretty good. The bullpen is always really good. Yeah, I know a lot of other people might be saying right now, oh, they just traded Austin Meadows. But they got some guys here that can really contribute. They got some guys in the minor leagues. Josh Lowe, I'm excited for him. There's still a lot to like about the Tampa Bay Rays. Randy Rosarina, Rookie of the Year last year. Wander Franco, this guy's going to be amazing. Brandon Lau, one of the best second basemen, if not the best second baseman in the game last year. The Rays are just so well run. I know a lot of people might think I'm ridiculous for putting them at an S, but whatever. They won 100 games last year. Yeah, they don't have Glass now, but they'll figure it out. I'm going Rays, S tier. Man, oh man, did the Texas Rangers add some bats this offseason. Semien and Seager. Hey, that's going to be money well spent. They're going to be really good. But I already really liked some of the parts of the Rangers lineup before they even got them. Really like Nate Lowe. I like Adolis Garcia. Yeah, the guy needs to improve with the batting average and the on base, but the power's there. An electric player. Just needs to kind of tidy up some of his game. Cole Calhoun, I thought, was a really solid ad. Mitch Garver, I thought, was a solid ad as well. I like Brad Miller. I thought that was nice too. They do got some young guys down in the minor leagues, more on the pitching side. So really excited about Jack Leiter eventually. I think that could be just absolutely fantastic. And if we go take a look down here at the starting pitching, you know, look out for some of these guys like Glenn Otto. I think Glenn Otto could end up being really good. Cole Winn, I think he could end up being really good. You know, look out for some of these guys. They could definitely come up and help this year. As for the starting pitching right now, though, it's not too good. John Gray is your number 1. That's not going to get it done. Martin Perez is your number 2. I know that's not going to get it done. Martin Perez kind of drove me nuts a lot with the Red Sox. Dane Dunning, Dane Dunning is, I think, going to be a solid piece in a rotation. He's not going to be a frontline kind of a guy. Spencer Howard, bit of a wild card to me. Former top pitching prospect. They got him in a trade last year with Kyle Gibson with the Phillies. Looking to see what Howard can do. Look out for him. You got some arms in the bullpen. You know, look out for some of these guys. Right now, I think the Rangers, they're a lot better, but I don't know if they're quite there yet. I'm going to go C for the Texas Rangers. Who saw the Twins adding Carlos Correa? That still is so crazy to me. Look at Carlos Correa in the Twins lineup. Who saw that coming? But you know what? He's really going to help out this Twins team a lot. They went through some injuries last year, but they still had a pretty decent offense. And speaking of injuries, Byron Buxton, I mean, if this guy's healthy, I know I said this earlier, it's a phrase that gets thrown around a lot, but Byron Buxton, if he's healthy, this guy's a superstar player. Are you kidding me? Max Kepler, look out for him. He had some really good advanced numbers last year. The stat line didn't quite show, but his projections for this coming year are looking pretty good. Look out for him. I like the addition of Urshela at third. I think he's going to be a nice, steady guy for them. Gary Sanchez, to me, yeah, sure, fine. Maybe catch a little bit, but this guy needs to spend most of his time at DH. Gary Sanchez, I honestly think if you put him at DH for a full year, I guarantee he hits 30, 40 home runs, especially being away from New York now. You know, being in Minnesota, it's going to take a lot of pressure off of him. I think Gary Sanchez ends up having a pretty decent year at the bat. I do like Ryan Jeffers there. He's going to add some good defense. The starting pitching is thin to me. Joe Ryan and Bailey Ober, though, these guys have upside. So look out for these two guys. They actually did pretty good down the stretch for the Twins last year. Sonny Gray, he's going to be solid for them. Dylan Bundy, let's see if he can, get on track. He looked pretty good in 2020, but last year was not looking all that good. Chris Archer, very interesting ad. Let's see if he can finally get his career back on track. You got some guys in this bullpen that I think are going to be really solid. Yohan Duran, I'm telling you, this guy, young guy, 24 years old, but he's got a big arm. Look out for him. They got some guys. Josh Winder, that's another young guy to look out for. So I'm really excited. I'm excited for this Twins team. I think they can be really good. I just need to see the improvement. I need to see how they start off. Just because the starting pitching does worry me a little bit. There's upside here with Ryan and Ober. I do really like that, but I need to see it. I'm right now going to be at a C for the Twins. That might be a bit of a heartbreak to some people here. And, maybe some people think they're a B. I'm just not quite there yet for the Twins. I just need to see how they do in that first month. If they get off to a good start, absolutely, they can start climbing up these ranks. But I'm going to stay conservative. I'm going to stay at a C for now. The Toronto Blue Jays, they were mine and a lot of other people's pick to be the American League champions this year. The Toronto Blue Jays, man, this team, they can be really good. They can be really good. This team, they really thought they had a team last year that could go far in the playoffs. That lineup last year was insane. It was absolutely insane. You are losing Marcus Semien. I will say, that is a big loss, losing Marcus Semien. He was really good last year. He was a 6.5 win player last year. You are basically replacing him with Matt Chapman. Now, with Matt Chapman, I think he's more of a 3 to a 4 win player. So we're going to have to see how much that affects the Blue Jays. But I still love Vlad. Springer, I think a full healthy season is going to be really good. Let's see if he can stay healthy. But Vlad, obviously off the charts last year. Let's see if he can do it again. Bo Bichette, fantastic last year. Let's see if he can do it again. Alejandro Kirk. This is a guy I think to keep a lookout for this coming year. Alejandro Kirk last year was actually really solid. Taking a look, he did have, the stat line was kind of whatever, but if we actually go pull up Alejandro Kirk's expected numbers last year, if we take a look, he had an xWOBA of 377. That is not bad at all. And also, if we go take a look at StatCast, where that's a pretty nice addition here for Fangraphs. If we go take a look at StatCast, the batting average, while he hit 242 last year, his expected batting average was 288. So look out. And again, his on base last year, the on base, where's the on base? His on base was 328. He had a WOBA of 330. But like I said earlier, his xWOBA, 377. So I think Alejandro Kirk, this is a guy who's getting a good amount of barrels last year, decent amount of exit velocity. I think Alejandro Kirk ends up being really good this year. To me, he's a guy I think he's a breakout candidate for this year. So Cavan Biggio, this is a guy that's basically replacing Semien at second. So we're going to have to wait and see what Biggio ends up doing. Not a great year for him last year, but this is a guy he's had very good luck getting on base in the last couple of years. So this year, for the projections, they're thinking a 338 on base. 18 home runs. I think if he ended up getting anywhere 18, 20 home runs, I think that's good. I definitely want more of a batting average. I want the slugging to be up a little bit. On base, if he could be anywhere from 340 to 360, I think that'd be really good. So the lineup still looks incredible, even with Marcus Semien going to Texas. Now the starting pitching looks very balanced. Jose Barrios, Kevin Gausman, Ryu, Manoah, Kikuchi. Gausman, I'm a little more pessimistic on Gausman. I don't think he ends up being that same pitcher like he was with the Giants. He's going to be going to a lot more hitter-friendly ballparks here. Fenway Park being one of them. Yankee Stadium, the short porch in left field, or right field, sorry. Kevin Gausman, I think he ends up being good. I just don't think he's going to be that guy that he was with the Giants, but I still think he will be solid. Ryu, I think he's going to be solid. Manoah, is he going to go through some sophomore slumps? Will other teams adjust to him, or will he adjust more to them? We'll have to wait and see. Barrios, I'm not worried about. This is a guy who always goes out there, just gives you solid starts. Honestly, these numbers look really good. Kikuchi at the back end, I think it's a good add for the back end. I wouldn't want to rely on that guy to be a top 3 guy in the rotation, but Kikuchi, he showed a lot of good last year, especially in the first half, but the second half was not looking as good. So let's see if they can get him straightened out. The bullpen is a little questionable to me. I like Romano back there. I like the addition of Garcia, solid veteran guy for the bullpen there. They got some guys here. Simber they added last year. They got Meza. They got Richards. So, be on the lookout for some of these guys. David Phelps actually looked really good last year in 10 innings. So, this Blue Jays team, there's a lot of potential here. And let's actually go take a look here at the Toronto Blue Jays in terms of their prospects. Not the Texas Rangers. We want the Toronto Blue Jays. Could we end up seeing Groshans this year? Could we end up seeing Aurelvis Martinez this year? Especially with, maybe someone like Cavan Biggio. If he's struggling, maybe one of these two guys can come up. So, in terms of pitching, maybe we could see Moreno at some point this year, possibly. But in terms of pitching, maybe you got Bowden Francis here, your number 15. But there's not a lot of guys right now that you could call upon with the pitching. So that does worry me just a smidge. But the major league team, it's looking really good, man. It's really balanced in the starting rotation. The lineup looks really good. The bullpen, I'm going to be on the lookout for. But this Blue Jays team, man, I think they will be one of the better teams in baseball this year. But I also think they could be very disappointing at the same time. I'm going to be more optimistic with this Blue Jays team, even as a Red Sox fan. I hate saying that, but I'm going to go S tier for the Blue Jays. I think while yes, they did lose a lot with, I didn't even mention Robbie Ray, but they lost a lot with Marcus Semien and Ray. That was about 10 wins they're losing right there, but they did make some other additions. I think some guys end up getting better. Springer ends up being healthier. And I think this Blue Jays team, they're hungry too, man. They want it. They really want it there. We're going to have to wait and see, but I could see some people maybe just going A for the Blue Jays, but I'm going to be more optimistic with this team. I'm going to go S. And last but not least, the Washington Nationals. There's just not a whole lot with this team. Juan Soto is obviously the big piece here. I think when all is said and done by the end of this year, I think there's a very good chance we're calling him the best player in the game. Nelson Cruz was a nice add. Josh Bell there. Kyber Ruiz, really interested to see what he could do, a young catcher. Added Cesar Hernandez, but I don't know. The lineup is fine. But the pitching I'm worried about. Steven Strasburg, when's he going to come back? I'm counting on Patrick Corbin to have himself a good year. Josiah Gray, can he take a step forward? Anibal Sanchez, maybe this guy, 38 years old, maybe he can give you a little something. The bullpen's thin. I don't know. You got Cade Cavalli down in the minor leagues, but that's a guy that's had his health problems in the past. So can he offer anything? Carter Keyboom, he's going to be out for a little while. Can he eventually come back and maybe finally do something? I don't know. But for the Nationals, I hate to end the video on a down note, but I'm going to go D for the Nationals. So those are my rankings heading into the 2022 season. Let me know what you think down below. Do you think some teams should be up higher, lower? Do you think it looks about right? Do you think I'm a moron? Let me know what you think down below in the comments. But that's all I have for right now. Thanks for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.